The air in the apartment felt thick, as if it had soaked up the weight of unspoken words. I stood frozen in the kitchen, the phone trembling in my hand, my girlfriend's voice still echoing from the voicemail. "I'm pregnant with triplets. Start planning." Her words, bright and commanding, sliced through the quiet hum of the refrigerator. My heart lurched, not with joy but with a jagged, inexplicable dread. We hadn't been trying. We hadn't even talked about kids. And triplets? The math didn't add up. I forced a smile when I called her back, my voice cracking as I said, "Amazing." But inside something gnawed. A whisper of doubt that felt like betrayal before I even knew why. Lila's laughter filled the living room when she came home, her auburn hair catching the lamplight as she tossed her scarf onto the couch. The apartment smelled of her lavender perfume, mingling with the faint tang of takeout containers we hadn't cleared from last night. She was radiant, her hazel eyes sparkling as she described the doctor's visit, her hands fluttering over her still flat stomach. "3 little heartbeats," she said, her voice a mix of awe and mischief. "Can you believe it, Ethan? We're going to be a family of 5. Her words were a melody, but they hit me like a discordant note. I nodded, my throat tight, my mind replaying the past few months, her late nights at work, the cryptic texts she'd dismiss as nothing, the way her touch had grown fleeting, almost performative. I wanted to believe her. God, I did. Lila was my anchor, the woman who'd pulled me through the wreckage of my parents' divorce, who'd laughed with me over cheap wine and bad movies. But as she talked, her words felt too polished, like a script she'd rehearsed. I noticed the way her fingers twisted the hem of her sweater, a nervous tic she hadn't shown in years. "When did you find out?" I asked, keeping my tone light, though my pulse hammered. She hesitated, a fraction of a second but enough to make my stomach twist. "This morning," she said too quickly. "The doctor ran some tests last week, but today it was confirmed." Her smile flickered, and I felt the first crack in the foundation of us. That night I lay awake beside her, the city's neon glow seeping through the blinds, painting stripes across her sleeping form. My mind churned. We hadn't been intimate in months, not since her work trips started piling up. She blamed stress, long hours at the marketing firm, a demanding new client. I'd believed her because I wanted to, because the alternative was a chasm I wasn't ready to face. But triplets? The odds were astronomical, and the timeline felt like a lie I couldn't unhear. I slipped out of bed, my bare feet cold against the hardwood, and opened her laptop on the kitchen counter. The screen's blue light stung my eyes as I typed her password, our anniversary, a detail that now felt like a cruel irony. Her email was a maze of work threads, but one name kept surfacing: Marcus. Her boss. His messages were professional at first glance, but the timestamps told a different story. 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Casual sign-offs like "See you soon, love." My chest tightened, each email a pinprick of betrayal. Then I found it. A forwarded ultrasound image sent to Marcus 2 days ago with the note, "Our little miracles. Can't wait to tell him." The words blurred as my vision swam. Him? Me? Or someone else? My hand shook as I closed the laptop, guilt and rage warring in my gut. I was spying, violating her trust, but hadn't she already shattered mine? The next morning, Lila was all brightness, humming as she made coffee, oblivious to the storm inside me. I watched her, searching for the woman I thought I knew. "Who's Marcus?" I asked, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. Her hand froze mid-pour, coffee splashing onto the counter. "My boss," she said, not meeting my eyes. "You know that." Her laugh was brittle, a glass about to shatter. "Why do you ask?" I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but I swallowed it down. "Just curious," I said, forcing a smile. "You mention him a lot." She shrugged, but her shoulders stayed tense, and I knew I'd struck something raw. Days bled into each other, each one a tightrope walk of suspicion and denial. I noticed everything now. The way she locked her phone when I entered the room, the faint scent of cologne on her jacket that wasn't mine, the way she'd changed the subject when I asked about her day. I told myself I was paranoid, that love meant trust, that I was building a case out of nothing. But the evidence piled up like ash after a fire. A receipt for a dinner I hadn't attended, a hotel keycard in her purse, quickly hidden when I reached for her keys. Each discovery was a wound, but I clung to the hope that I was wrong, that Lila was still my Lila. I confronted her on a rainy evening, the city outside our window a blur of gray. I'd found a text on her phone, unlocked by accident or so I told myself, from Marcus. Miss you already. Tell him soon. My voice shook as I read it aloud, her face paling with every word. What's this, Lila? I asked, my heart a drumbeat in my ears. She opened her mouth, closed it, her eyes darting like a trapped animal's. It's not what you think, she whispered, but her voice cracked, and I saw the truth in her tears. Then what is it? I pressed, stepping closer, the air between us electric with pain. She sank onto the couch, her hands covering her face. I didn't mean for it to happen, she said, her voice barely audible. It was a mistake. A stupid, awful mistake. The confession spilled out in fragments. Late nights at work turning into drinks, then more. Marcus, charming and attentive, filling the gaps I hadn't seen in our relationship. The triplets weren't mine, they were his. She'd known for weeks but couldn't face telling me, couldn't bear to lose me. Each word was a blade, carving away the life I'd imagined with her. I wanted to hate her, to scream, but all I felt was a hollow ache. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice breaking. I thought I could fix it, she sobbed. I thought I could make it right. I walked out into the rain, the city's pulse drowning out my own. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't stay. Hours later, I found myself back at our apartment, soaked and shivering. Lila was gone, her suitcase missing, a note on the counter. I'm so sorry, Ethan. I'll always love you. My knees buckled and I sank to the floor, the weight of her betrayal crushing me. But in that moment a new pain emerged, not just loss, but the realization that I'd ignored the signs, that I'd let love blind me to the truth. The triplets weren't mine, but the betrayal was ours, shared in the silence we'd both chosen to keep.